Happy Easter. I'm Father Brian Shanley, the president of Providence College. I'd like to share a reflection with you that I hate to admit I learned from the Jesuits, but it reshaped the way I think about Easter, and so I'll share some largely Jesuit thoughts with you about the meaning of Easter. One of the things that Ignatius points out in his reflections in the spiritual exercises about Easter is that there's a pattern of the encounters of people with the risen Christ. And the pattern follows something like this, that Jesus meets people in various states of despair and sadness. The disciples on the way to Emmaus, the disciples holed up in the upper room filled with fear and sadness, to the weeping Mary Magdalene. And in all of these encounters, what Christ does is turn their sadness and their fear into peace and joy. And Ignatius's thesis is that the great gift and the ministry of the risen Christ is to bring us joy, to banish sadness and fear and desolation from our lives, that the risen Christ comes, in fact, to console us. And Ignatius begins the meditation on the fourth week by imagining an encounter between Jesus and his mother. Because one of the things that's puzzling about the stories that we have is the empty tomb. The question arises, well, where's Jesus? And there's an old answer to that question, which Ignatius builds upon, is that the first thing that the risen Christ would do would be to visit his mother. So I think we have to imagine the empty tomb as the time when Jesus goes to visit his mother, to console her after her great sadness and her great sorrow. And he invites us to meditate on what that encounter might have been like. And I would ask you to spend some time meditating on what it might have been like for Jesus to go and visit his mother. Meditate on how much joy, how much laughter, how many tears, Mary's questions, Jesus' answers. It is unthinkable to me that Jesus wouldn't go to visit his mother, even though we don't have that in Scripture. And Mary's joy on the Easter morning is the joy that Christ wants to bring into all of our lives. So my hope and my prayer for you in this Easter season is that you might have your own encounter with the risen Christ. That whatever sadness, whatever desolation, whatever fear you feel in your life, that the risen Christ is ministry, even alive now, is to drive out fear, to drive out desolation, to bring peace, and to bring joy. As one who has triumphed over death itself, the message of the risen Christ is that nothing cannot be redeemed, nothing cannot be healed, nothing cannot be forgiven. And it is the great ministry of the risen Christ in this Easter season to bring that joy to us. And my hope and my prayer for you in this Easter time is that you might encounter that risen Christ and receive the peace and the joy that he wants to bring you. Happy Easter.